I did not think that this trial was going to go this way, you guys, but James and Jennifer Crumbley are absolutely going to stand trial. A judge ordered the parents of Ethan Crumbley and said that they are, their roles, their alleged roles in the deadly Oxford High School shooting, that they are responsible because they did not exercise ordinary care and diligence in the care for their son. So we have a clip of what transpired here in the courtroom. The clip is about 2 minutes and 50 seconds, a little bit long, but oh my God, so worth watching. So let's take a look. Cuddy, if you guys can play that beautiful B footage, we'll come back and talk about it.
All right, now we're going to turn to breaking news in the wake of the Oxford High School tragedy. Tonight, the parents of the accused shooter ordered to stand trial.
We have team coverage from the courthouse in Rochester Hills, and we want to begin with 7 Action News reporter Kim Russell with the judge's decision. Kim?
Yes, the focus of the hearing today came down to ordinary care. That is the legal phrase for the care that a parent has to provide a child to not be legally responsible for actions that the child commits that are hurtful. And the judge agreed with prosecutors that James and Jennifer Crumbley did not provide their child with ordinary care.
The court finds that the deaths of the 4 victims could have been avoided if James and Jennifer Crumbley exercised ordinary care and diligence in the care of their son.
52nd District Court Judge Julie Nicholson ruled James and Jennifer Crumbley should face trial for 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter for the deaths of Tate Meir, Madison Baldwin, Hannah St. Juliana, and Justin Schilling, the classmates of their son killed when he allegedly shot 11 people at Oxford High School in November. In court today, an Oakland County Sheriff's Sergeant described what was allegedly found in Ethan Crumbley's bedroom after the shooting. Prosecutors shared pictures of a coin with a Nazi symbol, a dresser covered in rodent feces, ammo, and target shooting silhouettes on the wall. They shared surveillance video of Ethan Crumbley at firearm stores with his mom target shooting. They shared messages Ethan sent a friend saying he asked his mom and dad to take him to the doctor because he was suffering from hallucinations and a mental breakdown. But his dad allegedly told him to suck it up.
There is nothing in those texts that says, I believe our son has the gun at school and is going to commit a mass shooting.
Correct.
Defense attorneys argued James and Jennifer Crumbley did not know their son was a danger. The message from prosecutors is that James and Jennifer Crumbley did not know because they did not provide ordinary care to their son.
He wasn't taken to the doctor. He asked for help. I mean, you all heard the testimony over and over again, and they were just indifferent. So the fact that they had medical insurance available and didn't use it is just one more piece of this complete disregard. They didn't care.
There were times in court when they also read a journal that Ethan Crumbley allegedly wrote in which he described his plans to carry out a school shooting. There was emotion in the courtroom as it was read that he planned to kill a pretty girl with a bright future first. People had to leave the courtroom.
All right. Well, listen, the thoughts that I had about this and saying that the parents probably weren't responsible, I totally take that back and eat my words. There's also another thing to note, you guys, that came out. The prosecution, they sought to introduce evidence that the parents were operating a grow farm or had like a grow operation in the basement. And a police testified that the Crumbleys had like the equipment in the basement. But the defense objected, arguing that the information was irrelevant to the case, and the judge sustained the objection. So we didn't get to hear more about that, but I'm wondering if that's going to pop up later on. But when we're having a conversation about this, right, the goal of the prosecution was to prove that the parents did not exercise ordinary care and diligence in the care of their son. And I think they really did a good job in painting that picture. The gun, was in a lockbox, but it wasn't locked, and the code was 0000. They talked about the conditions of this child's room. They talked about the number of hours that he spent by himself. There was 20 pages of journal entries that really spoke to him having these mental breakdowns, these hallucinations, and very boldly. And, allegedly Ethan Crumbley, I mean, he even blames his parents for what he was about to do. He says that, he brought this up as per written in his journal. He brings up to his father, that he really needs some help. And his dad gives him some pills and tells him to suck it up. In text messages that he wrote to his friend, he's also reaching out to his friend saying that his parents won't listen to him, that he's, let them know that he's having these issues, that he's having mental problems, and it's causing him to want to shoot up the school. And where are the parents in all of this? And so I'm interested to hear from any parents in the comments. Let me know, what do you feel is, exercising ordinary care and diligence in the care for your children? Mike, how are you feeling about all of this and taking this in and everything that we know now?
It's shocking, to be honest, because like you, I mean, I think I hoped that we would make it to a place where there will be some accountability for the parents. I just didn't see it happening. So to be here in this place, seeing that clip, following up on everything that's happened in this case, wow, I didn't expect it. Even in that clip, though, one thing that was jarring for me was just like the state of the room that this kid was living in. They talk about all the time that he spent in his room, and then they talk about how his desk was covered in rat feces. Like, that's shocking. Like, just the conditions that this kid was living in. But I think some of the things that you pointed out is probably what this case is going to hinge on. Things like the code to the lockbox being 000. Like, that's like when we say, yes, you could buy the gun for the kid, but it's supposed to be somewhere secure. Well, if it's in a safe and the code is all zeros, well, now that gun isn't secure, and that kid had access to that gun, and then he used it to kill 4 people. Also, the father ignored the cries for help. Like, he asked for help. He knew that mentally he was having some really serious issues. He went to his parents for that help, and his dad tells him to suck it up. Yo, that's going to come back to bite him. And then the journal entries as well. I mean, as a parent, you have to have some sort of communication with your kid. And when you have just pages and pages and pages of these journal entries where the kid is talking about what he's fantasizing about, and he's talking about reaching out to his parents for help, and all of these things are ignored, and the kid ends up shooting these people. I mean, it looks to me like these parents should definitely end up doing some sort of time. I mean, yikes. It's just, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just shocked that we actually made it to this point, man. These is white folks. I thought they were going to walk away. I really, really do.
A typical Mike Davis thought there, but I agree. I'm actually really shocked. I think Leon's comment, where he mentions that, he's not, he's not anxious to, start charging parents for things that they don't know. And I think that, well, really that's a combination between Harry Jefferson and Leon's comment, in that, if you're a parent, how, what set of privacy do you offer to your kids? Are you going through their phone? Are you going through their journal entries? But what I do recognize in this, that I think that the parents have failed was during the incident. And so when they came up to the school, excuse me, this was the second incident that they were called to the school. And the counselor identified that their son may be having thoughts of suicide. And the parents did not take off work to deal and to work with their child. And to me, I feel like that alone is enough to, I guess, hold them responsible. Ethan Crumbley, James Crumbley, Ethan's father, is a DoorDash driver. And one thing that we know about that is, you make your own hours, right? It's nobody telling you when you can and cannot go to work. And so if both of the parents are leaving work to show up to the school for this meeting, to have this meeting the second day, and you see, what your child is drawing, that they have access to firearms, how interested they are in firearms, and you absolutely know your child. Something that was brought up in the case, you guys, is that when the shooting occurred, James Crumbley went home to go see if the gun was gone. And I'll tell you this, if there's a school shooting at my child's school, I would never think that my child would be the shooter. So if your first thought is, well, damn, that might be my kid being.
It wasn't even about safety. It wasn't even about the safety of his son. It was.
No. It was, let me go home and see, did he have that gun?
Exactly.
And so if that is your first thought, then what were the steps that you missed or did not take before it got to that point? And both of the parents both felt like, one, the mother texted him and said, Ethan, don't do it. And the father went home to check the gun and called 911 and said, hey, I think it's my son. I'm on my way to see, is the gun there? Then he said the gun is absolutely missing. And so there were a ton of missteps. And I think there was
question for you, though. A question for you. A question really also for like Leon and Harry Jefferson as well. The point of the parent responsibility, I don't think it's as simple as should we charge parents for knowing or not knowing? Because if the kid went and got the gun on his own and committed this crime, I think it's a different conversation. The fact that his parents bought him the gun, his parents are the ones that taught him how to use the gun, and then the parents put the gun in a safe where the combination was all zeros, I think that puts the parents in a very different situation than the kid that's making pipe bombs in the garage that nobody notices. Like this kid didn't sneak and learn how to use a gun. Right. This kid didn't sneak and become mentally unstable. Nah, they bought him the weapon, taught him how to use the weapon, and then ignored all of the cries for help when he came to them and was talking about his mental issues. So I think that this case is different than a lot of other cases that we see where kids do really, really bad things to people. Like these parents absolutely played a part in this.
I agree. So